Maya had spent her life chasing stories, until one story started chasing her. At 27, she was known as a brave journalist. She'd covered fires, floods, crimes in big cities. But this story was different. It brought her back to the one place she swore she'd never return. Her hometown, the same small town where she'd run barefoot into the woods one night at age 9, bruised, scared, and determined to never look back. Her father, a cruel man with dark secrets, was arrested that night, but never found guilty. The town said she made it all up. Her face was on every newspaper. Liar, troubled, unstable. She was sent far away. New name, new life. But now, 18 years later, she was back. Because a girl had gone missing, and the case had gone cold. Maya was assigned to investigate it for the paper she worked at. But when she opened the first file, she saw something that made her drop her pen. The missing girl's last known address was her old house. Maya's fingers trembled as she stared at the paper. 17-year-old girl missing. Last seen near 512 Willow Creek Road. That was it. Her childhood home. The place with the cracked porch. The creaky door, the attic she used to hide in. The place where her father shouted, slammed doors, and whispered things no child should ever hear. And now, another girl had vanished from that same house. Maya took a deep breath. Her editor thought this was just another missing persons report. But for her, it was something else. A ghost waking up. The next day, Maya drove into town. The roads looked the same, but the town felt colder. Smaller, as if it hadn't grown since she left. She passed the diner where she once stole sugar packets as a kid. The school she ran from. The church her father pretended to love. And then she saw it. Her house, still standing. The windows were different. The paint was newer. But the door was the same, deep red, with the scratch she made when she tried to carve the word help at age 8. A woman answered the door, mid-40s nervous eyes. Can I help you? She asked. Maya showed her press badge. I'm writing about the girl who went missing. I heard this was the last place she was seen. The woman hesitated. You're not from around here, are you? Maya's heart pounded. Not anymore. The woman's eyes narrowed. Wait, I've seen your face before. Maya smiled politely. Maybe in the papers. The woman didn't smile back. She went missing a week ago, Hannah. Sweet girl, quiet, didn't even like going upstairs, said she heard noises. Maya blinked. Noises. The woman nodded, said there was a voice in the attic whispering her name. Maya's blood ran cold. She had heard it too, when she was little. A voice in the attic, and it always sounded like him. Heart started to pound harder. A voice in the attic, whispering, calling, just like it used to. She remembered nights curled under her bed, hands over her ears, trying to block it out. The voice always started soft, Maya, then grew louder when she didn't answer. It wasn't just her imagination back then, and maybe it hadn't been Hannah's either. The woman stepped aside. You can come in if you want to see the room. Maya hesitated, then she nodded and stepped inside. The air hit her like a memory, cold and sharp. The smell of old wood, lemon cleaner, and something else, something she couldn't name. A smell from a time she didn't want to remember. She walked slowly, eyes tracing the walls. The ceiling, everything looked different, but her skin remembered. The woman led her upstairs. At the end of the hallway was the door to the attic. She always said she felt watched up here. The woman said, I thought it was just nerves, teen girl stuff. Maya placed her hand on the attic doorknob. It was cold. Too cold. She turned it and slowly stepped inside. Dust floated in the air. The floor creaked beneath her feet. The light bulb above flickered as if warning her. And then something caught her eye. In the corner behind an old trunk was a small wooden box. Maya walked over and picked it up. Inside were scraps of paper, notes, drawings, torn pieces of what looked like a journal. She unfolded one. Her breath stopped. It was in a girl's handwriting. I hear him at night. He says she's coming back. He says she belongs to him. Maya's knees weakened. The next page read, her name is Maya. He whispers it when he thinks I'm asleep. Maya looked around the room, eyes wide. Whatever this was, it had never forgotten her. Maya backed away from the box, her hands trembling. The attic seemed to breathe around her, old wood groaning, floorboards whispering secrets from beneath her feet. She looked down at the last note in the box. It was written in darker ink, rushed, shaky. If you're reading this, Maya, I think he's waiting for you. Her throat tightened. How could Hannah have known her name? No one in this town was supposed to remember. Her name had been sealed away, buried under a new identity. Unless someone had told her. Unless he had. Maya looked up toward the ceiling, as if expecting something to move, crawl, speak. But the attic stayed quiet. Too quiet. Back downstairs, the woman noticed her pale face. Are you all right? She asked. Maya forced a nod. Yes, just a bit overwhelmed. You look like you've seen a ghost, the woman muttered. I might have, Maya whispered under her breath. She walked out of the house and sat in her car. Heart racing, the box was on the seat beside her. She opened her laptop and began digging. Hannah Wells, age 17, vanished from her bedroom. Local police report, no sign of forced entry. No broken glass, phone still in her room, just like Maya's disappearance all those years ago. But then she found something else, something that made her blood run cold. A photo of Hannah standing in her school hallway, smiling shyly at the camera, and in the background, blurred just over her shoulder, was her father. Same eyes, same cruel mouth, same presence Maya had tried so hard to forget. But it wasn't from 18 years ago. It was from 3 months ago. Maya stared at the screen, unable to breathe. 3 months ago, that couldn't be possible. Her father was supposed to be gone, disappeared. No one had seen or heard from him in over a decade. Everyone thought he had skipped town after the trial. But there he was, in the background of a school photo, watching. She zoomed in. The man's face was partially turned, but she'd know that jawline, that stare anywhere. It was him, and he was standing close enough to Hannah to touch her. Maya's stomach twisted. He hadn't disappeared. He'd simply waited, and now he was circling back. For someone who had her voice, her story, her name. Maybe for revenge, maybe for control, or maybe for her. She called her editor. I need a few more days here. I found something big. What kind of big? He asked. The kind that's not going to let me go home until it's finished. She didn't tell him about her father. Not yet. Instead, she drove to the old sheriff's office, the same one where, as a child, she sat on a bench with bruises on her arms and told officers what her father had done. They didn't believe her back then. Now she needed someone to listen. The new sheriff was a woman named Alana Griggs. Tough eyes, no time for games. Maya showed her the photo. I think this man, my father, is connected to Hannah's disappearance. Sheriff Griggs leaned in, frowning. That's a serious accusation. I know, but I grew up in that house. He did things to me. He made me disappear, too. I just happened to get out. Griggs stared at the photo again, then said something Maya didn't expect. You're not the only one who's come back. Maya's voice caught. What? The sheriff stood slowly, walked to a filing cabinet, pulled out a folder. Inside, photos. More than one. All of them recent. Different places, stores, gas stations. And in each one, her father was watching girls who looked exactly like her. Maya felt the room tilt around her. She flipped through the photos with shaking hands, each one more chilling than the last. Different girls, different towns. All young, all around 16 to 18. And all of them had something in common. They looked like her. Same dark hair, same eyes, same timid smile. It was like he'd been collecting reflections of her across time. Sheriff Griggs watched her carefully. We didn't connect the dots until you showed up again. We thought it was just strange, coincidence, but now. Maya's voice cracked. Now it's not. She swallowed hard. You said I'm not the only one who's come back. What did you mean? Griggs hesitated. 2 weeks ago, a girl walked into the station at 3 a.m. She was barefoot, covered in dirt, wouldn't speak. Maya's heart stopped. Hannah. The sheriff nodded. We think so. But here's the thing. She didn't just go missing for a week. Her family said she disappeared 3 months ago. Maya blinked. That can't be right, the official report says. I know, Griggs interrupted, but the dates don't match. Her parents swear it was 3 months. The system says 1 week. It's like time shifted. A chill ran down Maya's spine. Can I see her? Griggs hesitated again. She doesn't talk. She doesn't even look people in the eye. But maybe she'll look at you. An hour later, Maya sat in a quiet room at the clinic. Across from her, in a pale blue chair, sat Hannah. Pale, thin, silent. She stared at the floor, rocking gently. Maya's voice cracked as she whispered, Hannah, I'm Maya. No response. I used to live in your house. Still nothing. But then, Hannah blinked slowly and whispered, he said you'd come back. He said you always do. Maya's blood ran cold. She leaned forward. Did he hurt you? Hannah didn't answer. She just stared past Maya and whispered something else. He's not just your father anymore. Maya's breath caught. She leaned in, gently touching Hannah's hand. What do you mean, he's not just my father anymore? Hannah's lips barely moved. Her voice was hollow. He changes names, changes faces, but he keeps the same words. Maya froze. What words? Hannah looked at her for the first time, really looked, and in a voice that sent ice through Maya's spine, she whispered, you can scream if you want. No one's listening. Maya's heart dropped, because she remembered those exact words. From when she was 8, hiding in the basement, trying not to cry. She stood quickly, her hands trembling. Hannah flinched. Maya backed away slowly. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to scare you. Hannah's voice trembled. He said if you came back, he'd finish what he started. Maya's throat tightened. Where is he, Hannah? Is he here? Hannah just looked at the window. Maya followed her gaze. Across the parking lot, past the fence, a man stood by a lamppost, hat pulled low, coat too long, not moving. Maya couldn't see his face, but she knew it was him. He had come for her, after all these years, after all her running. He had found her again, and this time, he didn't plan to let her leave. Maya's legs felt like they were made of stone. She couldn't move, couldn't blink, couldn't breathe. That man by the lamppost still, silent, watching. He didn't wave, he didn't flinch. He just stood there, like he had all the time in the world. Like he owned it. The moment they turned the corner, Maya dialed Sheriff Griggs with shaking fingers. "He's here," she said. "Outside the clinic, I saw him." "I'm on my way," Griggs said. "Stay inside, lock the doors." She grabbed Hannah's hand. "We're leaving," she whispered. But Hannah began trembling. They slipped out the back door of the clinic into a narrow alley. Maya kept her head low, heart racing. The moment they turned the corner, Maya dialed Sheriff Griggs with shaking fingers. "He's here," she said. "Outside the clinic, I saw him." "I'm on my way," Griggs said. "Stay inside, lock the doors." But Maya didn't go back inside. She had something else in mind, something she'd never had before, a chance to stop running. She brought Hannah to a nearby safe house, an old motel run by a quiet woman who owed Sheriff Griggs a favor. There were no windows in the back room, just thick walls and silence. Maya sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the floor. All this time, she thought she had escaped him, but now she saw the truth. She hadn't escaped. She just survived long enough to become useful. Useful to the voice he wore. Useful to whatever darkness he carried with him town to town, girl to girl. That night, Hannah finally spoke again. "I think he's not just one person," she whispered. "He's many." Maya turned to her, chilled. "What do you mean?" Hannah stared ahead, eyes wide and empty. "He leaves pieces of himself in every girl, and then he waits until one of them becomes strong enough to carry him again." A pause. "Then, he wanted you to come back, Maya. He knew you'd come. You're the one he's been waiting for." Maya felt the air shift, felt something deep inside her twist like a rope being pulled tight. Then a knock on the door. 3 soft taps, like a father coming home. Maya froze, her breath caught in her throat. 3 soft knocks, not loud, not rushed, measured, like someone who wasn't asking to come in, just reminding her he was already there. Hannah gripped Maya's arm tightly. "Don't open it, he doesn't need a key." Maya whispered, "Then why knock?" Hannah looked at the door. Her voice was barely a breath. "Because he wants you to invite him in, like always." The room fell silent. The knock didn't come again. Instead, a piece of paper slid under the door. Maya stared at it. Her pulse pounded in her ears. She bent down slowly and picked it up. There were only 5 words, written in handwriting she hadn't seen since she was 9. "You still belong to me." Her hands shook. She turned the paper over. On the back was a drawing, a child's sketch in crayon. 2 stick figures holding hands. One was tall, the other small. The small one had her name above it, but the tall one, it had no name at all, just a face shaded black. That night, Maya didn't sleep. She watched the shadows crawl across the ceiling, and when she closed her eyes, she heard a voice, not loud, not cruel, just familiar. "Don't run, you're home now." In the morning, she called Sheriff Griggs. "I'm not hiding anymore," Maya said. "I'm going to finish this." "How?" Griggs asked. "I'm going back to the house." Maya whispered, "To where it started." Griggs was silent for a long time, then said, "You won't be alone." But Maya wasn't so sure, because if what Hannah said was true, she had never really left him. Not completely, and maybe now, he was already inside her. The old house stood at the end of Willow Creek Road, quiet and unchanged, like it had been waiting for her. The sky above it was gray, thick with clouds. No birds, no wind. Just silence. Maya stepped out of the car, Hannah beside her. Sheriff Griggs was a few minutes behind with backup, but Maya couldn't wait. She had to face it now, before it grew stronger, before it became her. The front door creaked as she pushed it open. The air smelled of damp wood, dust, and something sour, like old memories rotting in the walls. Each step into the house felt heavier, like the floor itself wanted to hold her back. Maya walked past the staircase where her father once stood in shadow, watching her with those cold, empty eyes. She walked past the hallway where she used to tiptoe, afraid of waking him. And finally, she reached the basement door. It hadn't changed, still chipped, still splintered. Still wearing the dent from the night, she slammed it shut behind her and ran into the woods. Hannah stopped. "I'm not going down there." Maya nodded. "You don't have to." She opened the door. The stairs groaned under her feet as she descended into the dark. The basement was colder than it should have been, and darker even with her flashlight. She stepped to the center of the room, and then she heard it. Breathing. Behind her. Slow, deep, familiar. She turned, but no one was there. And then the voice came. You came back, just like I said you would. It wasn't just in her ears. It was inside her mind. She squeezed her eyes shut. You're not real. The voice laughed soft, broken, like glass dragged across concrete. I am if you believe I am, and you always did, little girl. Maya gritted her teeth. I'm not a little girl anymore. The walls creaked, the air thickened, and from the darkest corner of the basement, a figure stepped forward. Tall, thin, face blurred like a smeared painting. No, it said, you're exactly who I made you to be. Maya stood her ground. She could feel her fear rising like a wave, but she didn't let it crash. Not this time. Not again. She stared into the face of the thing that wore her father's shape, or his voice, or whatever part of him still lingered in this place. You didn't make me, she said firmly. You hurt me, you tried to break me. But I left. I built a life without you. The figure tilted its head. Shadows crawled across the walls like fingers. And yet you came back. I came back, Maya whispered, to end this. She stepped forward. You don't live here anymore, I do. The air shifted. The darkness trembled. Then, from the stairs, light. Sheriff Griggs appeared, flashlight in one hand, gun in the other, behind her. Officers flooded in, but Maya didn't need them, because when the light touched the figure, it began to change. It shrank. It twisted. Its voice cracked. You need me, it rasped. You don't exist without me. Maya stared at it one last time. You were never anything but a shadow. And then, she turned her back, walked up the stairs, and left the darkness behind. The house was torn down 6 weeks later. Nothing was found in the basement. No trace of Hannah, no trace of him. Just cold air and broken silence. Maya returned to the city. Hannah began therapy and started painting again. Pictures full of light and color. And Maya, she wrote an article, What We Carry and What We Let Go. The world called it powerful. But for Maya, it was more than words. It was proof she had finally taken her story back. And when she looked in the mirror now, she saw herself. Not what he left behind. Not what he wanted her to be. Just Maya, whole, healing, and free.